Hey, welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and today we're going to talk about how to prepare. We could say a little bit on why to prepare, but I'm sitting here with a pile of gear. It's a windy day, so hopefully the audio's all right, but I really want to dig in how to prepare, especially for people new to prepping. I see a lot of people every day on social media new to prepping, interested in getting into prepping. Feel like the why to prepare is pretty obvious at this point. Certainly if you're watching the news, watching social media, you see a lot going on in the world. Russia flared up this morning with the Wagner group saying they're trying to do a coup and move on Moscow. I don't know if that's resolved yet, but that could get pretty ugly. I mean, if you think about the Wagner group, seem to be the war hawks. They're the ones saying we need to be using nukes. So somehow they were able to overthrow the country. As much as people don't like Putin, I would suspect the wars would actually escalate and not end, right? So I think the why to prepare hopefully is at least somewhat obvious to most folks right now. We're on the verge of World War III. You look at what's going on with China, you look at what's going on with Russia, look at what's going on in the States right now. There's a lot of division in the country. There's constant attacks on the power grid based on what I've read from the Department of Energy. Right, so the why to prepare is that hopefully we're past that point, but let's talk about how to prepare, right? There's areas you want to prepare. There is stuff, and I've got a pile of stuff I'll walk you through here. Certainly it helps to have stuff as a prepper. There is a mix when you're talking about prepping between skills and stuff. It's not always about the stuff. You do need skills, and skills take time to develop. So I would say the sooner you get into the mindset and start developing your skills, the better, whether it's food preservation, self-defense, self-reliance, right? We do homesteading here. The self-reliance behind homesteading segues nicely into prepping in that, you know, I've got my chicken coop and we've done the math. We could survive indefinitely on the eggs and harvesting chickens from the chicken coop alone if we had to. Certainly self-reliance is part of being prepared, right? But prepping is stuff, so we're going to jump into some of this stuff. It's also a mindset. Are you mentally prepared? Are you ready for SHTF? How will you react if the power goes out? How are you going to react if you hear about nukes going off in around the world? Who knows, right? Nukes going off potentially in Ukraine. A lot of stuff could happen, and are you mentally prepared for that? If something happened, if SHTF happened, is your first thought going to be, well, we need to run to the grocery store now and get some supplies? Probably too late, just to be honest with you. If something like that happens, the level of panic is going to make doing anything outside of your house very difficult. You may be the type to bug out, and I can understand if you're in a place that's not really survivable, big cities, apartments, things like that. Have your bug out plan, have your bug out bag, have your bug out gear ready to go, so if something happens you can bug out. But even then, you're going to need a place to go. You're going to need supplies and tools and whatnot to get you there, right? What to do now is, it's not SHTF yet. Hopefully it never is. You just don't know. Build a community, right? A community helps. No one can survive alone. Find like-minded people through social media or other means, but build that community, right? Build a family. Get people starting to prepare together. Build infrastructure. For us, on Homestead, infrastructure is pretty obvious, right? We can build up our garden, build up our turkey coop, build up our land, our property. If you don't have that, if you're not in a situation where you can build infrastructure, even things like, hey, I'm doing water purification, I'm doing water catchment, I have solar backup power, I have a solar generator, that's all could be under infrastructure, right? And then there's communications, and we'll look at communications. We'll jump into that a little bit. Some options for emergency communications. Even if you're a lone wolf, I'm going to prep on my own. Something like a shortwave radio, right, might at least keep you in touch with what's going on in the world. So let's jump into it. I've got a few areas I want to give examples of as prepping categories. Once again, we're talking about how to prepare. One of the areas that you want to prepare is shelter, right? We did the rule of three. Shelter is going to be one of the more important things that you have. We're going to look at water, food, medicine, and then personal defense, or EDC as you might call it. And I've got a few items from each category I want to jump into and just give you ideas, right? You may be a seasoned prepper and you might see something here you haven't thought of. So it's a bit of a gear dump, a BOB dump, if you will. So let's start with shelter here. I'm going to try to lift this up. I actually got this at Walmart. This is a 4-person dome tent. It was $39. So for $39, you can have emergency shelter. It's not the highest end, finest tent on the market at $39. Certainly you can get more expensive tents, but it is a 4-person tent. I think it weighs about 7 pounds. So once again, if you get a more expensive tent, they have lighter tents. They have tents that collapse more, but for $39, you can have a shelter for 4 people, right? It does say weather tested, spear protection, sun, rain, and wind. So I would say maybe a 2 or 3 season tent, but it is a tent. It is emergency shelter, $39, right? You could go outside, set it up, do some camping. If you're in an area that has very harsh winters, I've heard of people setting up tents inside their house just to help capture heat, right? Your power goes out, it's negative something degrees outside, your house starts getting cold. You could set up that tent inside to actually warm up a smaller area, right? So first thing on shelter, a tent is not a bad idea, especially at $39. Next thing you're gonna wanna have for shelter, once again, this is a sleeping bag. I think this was a 10 degree bag, which means it's supposed to keep you warm down to 10 degrees outside. This is 5.7 pounds. And once again, this was $39 at Walmart as well. It's just a basic, you call it a mummy style bag that you can pick up. You could use it indoor. And once again, if you're having a bad winter, you could go inside and use a sleeping bag. You could take it outside. It could be your bug out. You could take it camping, right? Keep it in your car. If you're trapped in your vehicle in the snow, which did happen to people, does happen, something like a sleeping bag could make a big difference. And once again, at $39 for the sleeping bag, it's not a huge investment, right? It's, there are more expensive sleeping bags. There's lighter sleeping bags. This is a bigger, heavier sleeping bag, but this is your bed. This could save your life. Third item I want to look at on shelter is just a mat. This is a yoga mat. If you're going to be sleeping on the ground in the tent, a little mat could go a long way to make that experience a lot more comfortable, right? It could get a little uncomfortable depending on the ground. A mat's not bad. And this is just a basic yoga mat. You can pick them up just about anywhere. So that's what I wanted to cover on shelter, right? It's important to have shelter. That's one of the first items you hit on the rule of threes is shelter. Next thing we're gonna hit on is water. I got a few items to show you on water. So I've got these little water bottles. I like this style water bottle. Pick up a pouch. This is a single wall stainless steel water bottle, which means you could actually boil water in the bottle if you needed to. So if you're getting water from a creek or a river or something like that, you could boil it in the bottle, which actually can help out a lot, right? So a nice water bottle, a container. It's one of the C's is to have a container. This could store your water for you. Certainly a Sawyer mini filter is very popular. These can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from what I've read, and this is down to 0.1 microns, so it's actually supposed to be a pretty good filter. You could attach it to a water bottle, and these came with a whole kit of different items that can add for your water filtration. Next item you might want to look at for water filtration, these are portable aqua tablets. So this is chemical filtration, and this package treats up to 25 quarts, so 4 quarts to a gallon. It would be about 6 days, so just under a week's worth of water. This is a 2-pack, So it actually has a water purification, has germicidal tablets, and it's supposed to be good flavor-wise. So if you don't like that chemical taste, you get the double pack. These were not very expensive. Got this on Amazon. You've got your water purification. Another item to have, of course, is a boil pot. So we did say you could boil water in the water bottle, but a boil pot is not bad to have. Right, you can collect it. This is something you can boil your water on. I believe this is a 1 liter pot, which it doesn't look like it, but I'm pretty sure this was a little 1 liter boil pot. So useful to have. You could hang it on the outside of your backpack, capture your water and boil it, and do your own kind of naked and afraid action right there. So water's life. Water's important. You're not going to survive very long without water. So having a container to carry the water in, having a pot to boil your water in, and filtration options are all very important as a prepper, right? So let's jump into food here. I got a couple items for food. The ever classic MRE, or this is an XMRE, beef strips and soy sauce. This is one of the more expensive portable food options, but it is a meal ready to eat. I don't believe these are a full 2,000 calories. I think it's the 1,300 calories, so it's not necessarily even a full day's worth of food, but it is a meal and it is ready. It has a decent shelf life. Tends to be on the expensive side, right? But an MRE classic portable food option. Another one I like to show, and I've got a bunch of these, are these SOS rations, the UST bars. This is 2,400 calories, so this is more than a day's worth of food. 5-year shelf life, easy, portable, not super heavy. This is 1 pound, 2 ounces, but it is a full day plus worth of food at 2,400 calories. A lot of protein. You've got some carbs, a lot of fat, and they don't taste that bad. I have tried some of them, so you can get them on Amazon. Used to be under $5. It seems to be more around $7 now. Doubt that surprises anyone, but these are a good option to have for food, whether you're on the go or whether you're bugged in. Now, if you don't have those, can't afford those, don't want to deal with something like that, something basic, just a whey protein bar. This is Gatorade brand whey protein bar, 20 grams of protein, 1 serving, 350 calories. This keep you powered up, right? These are something good to have. Same thing with just basic peanuts, right? If you want to keep it simple, once again, you get 7 grams of protein per serving, 160 calories. 116. So I mean, this is more than a day's worth of food. This is over 2,000 calories, and if you ate the whole container, you're getting a lot of protein. So even something simple as a pound of peanuts, right? If you're on the go, if you want to have some prepper survival food, we've made a ton of videos about that. Just a basic pack of peanuts, protein bars, just count as food, right? They'll keep you alive. They'll give you the energy you need for whatever you're doing. So that covers food. Want to jump into medicine a little bit. There's a few things you're going to want to have right away. We got a little first aid kit right here. First thing you want to have when you're talking about emergency medicine is PPE, and that's the personal protective equipment. And there's a couple PPE items you should have in any first aid kit. The first are the gloves. These are the nitrate gloves. Keep your hands protected. And the other one's a CPR mask, right? You're going to want to have a CPR mask. These are 2 important pieces of personal protective equipment you should have in any first aid kit. The first thing you're going to go for in the event of an emergency, right? You need to protect yourself before you can heal anyone else. So first 2 things you're going to want right there. Some other things you're going to want to jump in on your first aid kit. Compression bandage is good if you're dealing with any kind of large wounds, gunshots, anything like that. A good compression bandage. You need to stop bleeding with something like that. Another item, of course, would be a tourniquet. Tourniquets are important if you've got any kind of a major injury to a limb, gunshot cut, something like that. Tourniquet could save your life. And then I've got a ton of other stuff in here. We're not going to take the whole bag apart, but wrap and gauze, things like that are important basics in your first aid kit. But look at a good first aid kit and make sure you have that PPE of the gloves and the CPR mask. So that covers the medicine. We looked at shelter, water, food, medicine. So next thing we're going to jump into is personal defense. You know, it's not a bad idea to think about your personal defense. Got a couple items here I wanted to show you. One I'm wearing right now, you could probably see it in the video. This is an S2 soft plate from AR500. This is a 3A soft plate, so it's flexible, weighs less than 2 pounds, right? So it's very easy to use, non-encumbering. 3A will cover most handguns, right? It's supposed to cover all handguns and some rifles. Sorry, 3 plus. I said 3A, level 3 plus plates, and they're soft. It's soft, it's flexible, it doesn't weigh much at under 2 pounds. I think it's 1.75 pounds for the plates, right? So it's light. I'm wearing it now. You can probably see it under the t-shirt, but if I add on any kind of a jacket, a sweater, anything like that, you might not see it. So personal protection, AR500 Armored Republic. Got this on sale for $177. Could save your life, right? Is it gonna hurt when you get hit? Yeah, but if the bullet doesn't penetrate, you'll be doing a lot better than if you didn't have the personal protection. So certainly something to think about. Another area on personal protection, hearing protection, right? So if you're a shooter, if you go to the range a lot, you probably already have these. If you don't, and you're just a home defense guy, you might want to think about that. These are electronic earmuffs, which means you turn them on and it actually enhances your hearing and blocks out the gunshot. So this is something you might think about to add to your home defense, because it actually helps you hear better. So if you're in a situation where someone's in your house or something like that and you're defending your home, this actually enhances your hearing. So worth looking at, worth thinking about. It's battery powered, so you just need to keep the batteries good if you're just going to put them away in the closet and forget about them. A couple of other items for personal defense, right? Certainly gold standard for self-defense. EDC where it's legal, everyday carry, whether you have a permit, whether you live in a state where you don't have to have a permit, certainly consider that. That's the gold standard around the world, right, for self-defense. Make sure you understand the laws, and of course you only use something like that for self-defense. Defend yourself, defend your family. But you could find yourself in a situation where that could save your life. The last item I'm going to show on self-defense, but is also a tool, is just a pocket knife, right? It's good to carry a pocket knife, or a cutting tool is probably a better term, right? This is the AK cutting tool. Very useful to have. I use it all the time as a tool. In a pinch, it could be self-defense, but certainly a good tool to have, and something you should always carry with you at all times is your pocket knife. Maybe not when you're sitting on the couch, but you know what I mean. If you're going out, you should have your pocket knife with you. Last area I wanted to hit on is communications, and I've done a couple tests on these. These are just basic Baofeng radios. It's the UV5G. It's a GMRS radio, so you should have a GMRS license if you're going to use it. My experience, effective range has been about half a mile, but if you have a group, if you have multiple people, you're going to want to be able to maintain communications, and you may not be able to guarantee that your cell phones are still going to work. So something like a basic radio, you can probably get these $20-$30, right? The Baofengs are not known for being exceptionally expensive, but it is good to have that communication option. And then the last item I want to show you guys, even if you're a lone wolf prepper, is a basic shortwave radio. So this is a world band receiver shortwave radio with the hand crank, right? So you can hand crank it for battery, and it gives you some reach. You know, if you want to see what's going on in the world, maybe it's a grid down, maybe you're out camping, maybe you're bugged out, you're trapped in your car, something like that. A good shortwave radio is going to have a little more reach, pick up some bands that you might not normally get on FM AM. It does have FM AM radio, as well as the Baofeng also comes with the FM radio capabilities. So something like this, it's got a light built in. Certainly flashlights are important, and it's a hand crank, and I believe you could use this to charge your cell phone. It might be a little too old, yeah. I take that back, it's a little too old for that. You probably get a newer one's gonna have the USB connector so you can charge your cell phone. This is old school. They didn't have USB when I got this radio, but it has a hand crank capability, and you can already see the light coming on as I'm cranking it. So those are some ideas, something you might want to think about. If you're sitting there saying, wow, you know, I need to prepare, but I don't know how, try to hit the categories, right? Hit the shelter, hit the water, hit the food, hit the personal protection, right? Hit your basics, cover those. Fire, certainly fire is important, but even just a basic pack of lighters will cover fire, right? You're gonna need fire for warmth, potentially, depending on what you're doing. Fire to boil your water. You don't necessarily have to have a hand drill fire starter or magnesium fire starter, just a basic lighter. A pack of lighters will start fires for a long time. I like the Bic lighters, kind of the world standard. They're gonna light most of the time, maybe not in the wind, but they're very reliable. So I hope that helps out, gives you some ideas on how to prepare. What do you need? What's the head mindset you need to get into? And a lot of it in the beginning is going to be mindset. So thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.